So I want to talk about the Corpse Party OVA, Corpse Party Tortured Souls. Now, if you don't know what Corpse Party is, it is based off the video game or horror RPG game Corpse Party. And it's an anime adaptation. And just know this adaptation is not the best. Mainly because this adaptation, it has 4 episodes or 2 hours. It's basically a 2 hours OVA, and it covers a game that's like close to 10 hours, and they cram all this content inside this game. But let's talk about this OVA. Let's talk about the good stuff about it and some of the bad things I have to say about it, because there's kind of a lot of bad and there's some stuff that I feel like they did well, but at the same time, when they're cramming, you know, a whole game into just a short little OVA that's only 2 hours, it's not enough to work with. This anime most definitely should have had a 12 episode just regular anime instead of just being a short OVA that was split into 4 episodes, or you could just watch the whole 2 hours, whatever. But it is very disappointing, because if you actually know the Corpse Party game, you know how much lore is packed inside the game and how much other stuff that's there. And then the OVA could not really explore and do all that, so like there's a lot of cut content when it comes to story stuff, and they had to mix stuff around and just like cram a lot of deaths and other things into it. But out the way, let's get into the Corpse Party and let me talk about some of the good stuff they did. Now, the first thing I got to say about one of the things I think they actually did right in this OVA, it is that they have the right atmosphere of Heavenly Host Elementary School, because it's the right atmosphere. It has the creepiness, it has the whole vibes with bodies laying all over, with the ghosts being scarier than like they actually were in the games, because if you know in the games, the ghosts move super slow, and the only time they can actually get you is if you're moving really slow, or there is like one area early on that it can get you if you're like tricked on how to like juke it or whatever. But still, they made the ghosts a little bit creepier, and they made just the whole vibe a little bit creepier. But at the same time, there's little things there that they just added to make it interesting. Some little bit of music and other background noises that just made the creepiness there that I thought just really stand out as like something different that they did to make the atmosphere from the games and like actually translate into like an anime. Because like the anime should be able to do it better, because the game is not like a usual anime game. Because if you've seen the game, you know how the RPG moves. It's not like a traditional one where you could see all the super scary stuff. But yeah, that's one of the things I felt like they did well. So another one is like something I thought just because it relates back to the game. So whenever you're in the game, when you're playing it, you always see like these dead bodies and these bones all over the ground. But you actually had like one of the characters, I think it was the main guy, he actually picked up one of the IDs, and that just made me go like, oh, okay. I was like, hey, I guess that's something they had to relate back to the game, because in the game you actually do pick up IDs, and you like in the character would comment about like what they see on the body or say something about the body or whatever. So I just thought that was a neat thing, and we also did get to see them like pick up key items, and I was like, oh, okay. I was happy about that, because we actually got some reference from the game that we can actually see these key items and stuff like that. Now another thing is they mentioned the candles, because, or at least they show us the candles. So in the game, we find out basically that Shinozaki, she's the one that's been placing these candles down. The candles are used as save points, so we actually see them in the OVA, and I was just like, hey, thank you for actually putting those, because those are the save points. And then this is one of the things I liked about one of the characters, how they changed them was just a little bit, is because like in the game he really doesn't have much to him besides a few things, and that's the guy with the glasses. They actually made him like way more crazier, because in the game there's little parts of him that you can tell he's turning crazy with him like taking pictures, and especially when he finds out like the one big blob that's all over the wall, like all the guts and stuff, you find out that's Mayu, and that's when he really turns crazy. And he has that scene when he's chasing after Yuka, and then we actually do get to see like how he passes away. So I mean, but yeah, there's little stuff there, but just in this they did something just to add something different to his personality, to give him like more, I guess, of like craziness, since in that moment you would think he would be like way more crazier, and they just added a little bit. So I kind of like that, just because it add just a little bit something different to a character that, you know, we really don't get that much of besides like a little bit in the game. Now the next thing I gotta say is, now this is one thing that just works out in the favor of this this OVA just being short and cramming all the content, is they made Shinozaki not as annoying. Because if you play the games, you know at one point she becomes annoying, because it's like, girl, you're the one that got all them stuck in here, and you're the one complaining the most. Because there's one point where she's crying and complaining about being here, talking about how she can't take it being here. Yes, I know it's because like she's going crazy in the traumatic experience that they're going through, but at the same time it's like, girl, you're the one that got them all stuck here. It's like, you should be the only one here not complaining the much. Everybody else should be complaining way more than you. But it's just, they made her way less annoying in this OVA, and I was like, thank you. And you know another character they made less annoying? Yuka. Now, Yuka is, she's the character where she has to pee for like basically a whole chapter, and her having to pee literally wraps around multiple chapters, even gets to like the ending of her having to pee, and it's ridiculous. It's the stupidest thing ever, because it's like, dog, there's so many options you could have just peed. It's like pee on yourself, pee on the ground. You don't need a toilet. It's like at this point you see all this crazy stuff happening, and it's just they made that less annoying in the anime, and I was like, thank you, because in the game it's so damn annoying that they really gave us a chapter that's all wrapped around her having to use the bathroom, and it's so dumb. And then you know how dumb it really gets in the game? There's a point where at the end of the game, there's actually a functioning bathroom. If you let her go into that bathroom, it turns into like a bad ending or a wrong end. And it's so stupid. It's one of those stupid things because you have to get that wrong end if you want to 100% complete the game, whatever. But I digress. But yeah, they made her less annoying, and I was like, thank you. They got rid of that pee stuff, which was so stupid. Like, it's there, but it's not like playing a big major plot like the way it does, being like a whole chapter and even more past that when we get like with her. And it's, oh, it was so annoying in the game. I will say this too, is some of the scenes that we got like actually portrayed in this game, like when Shinozaki sees like what actually happened to the kids, like I think that was nice that we got to see that and just see like how crazy it actually was, because like in the game we see that, but like, you know, it's just the picture thing instead of like this one's just actually playing out. And also when it comes to Naomi, when we like to see her when she's doing the what you call it, the Seiko, we actually got to see that play out more than like what it was just with the little pixels type of thing that's in the game. So I mean, some of them scenes that just like scenes that we know that are big and important that we'll put in here, they actually look not that bad, and like it plays out like somewhat about the same, and we get to see it, and I kind of like that. I will say this, Mayu's death was on one. I will say that it was most definitely on one, just like the game. And just know, you know, her getting slammed and splattered into the wall, it's about the same. So we get that crazy experience, even though just know the anime, it does a little bit different. Like the setup is very different compared to like what the game was or whatever, but still it's still like that. And then also I will say we did get a darker original ending, because this is something that was not in the game at all. It was not one of the wrong endings at all. So we got like an original ending that adds like some dark trauma type of thing when it comes to Naomi, when it comes to basically her at the end, and Tsunezaki when it's just like the main guy's hands are just there. So it added something like different. But yeah, let's get into the bad stuff, because trust me, there's a lot of bad stuff. Alright, the first thing I gotta say is that's bad about this is the timing. The timing is very bad, mainly because the pacing is so damn fast that like you'll go from scene to scene and wondering like what is happening. And then also the way they just kill characters off so fast, even characters that might have not even died that type of way in the game. Like one of the characters is like Miss Yui. Like when it comes to Yui Sensei, bro, her death is so stupid, bro, because they literally bring her back just to kill her off, where in the game her death is way more impactful when she's saving a student, so she sacrifices herself and like it fits her character. Where in this one you just have a thing fall from the sky. I think it was like a cabinet falls from like up above and just kills her, and it's just like, wow, that was stupid compared to just like how it actually was in the game. And then it's just like some of them deaths just happen so fast, and they're just taking characters out just to take characters out, or they ruin certain moments because there's so much story that's actually not covered in here. There's a lot of cut content. So another important thing that happens that was kind of cut out because it plays like towards the ending, that it comes in important, especially to all the characters, is they all take a group photo before they do the Sachiko Ever After. And like that group photo is something that's very important, but like it doesn't portray in the anime, mainly because, you know, they went with an anime original ending and doing something different because, you know, they just wanted to do something different just to make it stand out as something unique, I guess you say, apart from the game or whatever. But let's get into some more bad stuff I didn't like. One of the things I did not like is like we did not really get to see them explore the school, and that's one of the major things that's about like the game, is you're exploring the game, and like while you're exploring the game you don't really have no pursuer enemies like that. Yes, there is one that comes like towards the end, but you don't really have that many things that's just after you. You're just exploring the school, reading stuff about the bodies, fighting items that you can move on. So there's like stuff like that until like you get to certain points that it's like towards the end of the chapter, that's when something bad might happen or whatever. But still, we didn't really not get to see them explore the school that much, and that's one of the key elements from the games, that you could just go around, explore the school, see all these different things, elements about it, especially like all the floor, all the holes in the ground, and like all these classrooms that are messed up, reading all these notes and all these other things. We didn't really get that like that because it just moves at a fast pace, and because they only had 2 hours that they could fit all of this content into this little short OVA. One of the things I really didn't like is when it comes to Shinozaki, is like when she gets the doll and all that, and like you find out like how the doll leads them to basically find the tongues of the kids, is how we only got to see them find one of the kids' tongues but not the other two because they cut all that out. And there was kind of some interesting places because like one of the tongues was like hidden at the bottom of like a pool or whatever, and that has like this scene, it can lead to a different directions depending on what you do in the type of moments where Shinizaki can basically get sucked up by the drain. You have a point where like she's going crazy too. So there's a lot of key elements that were skipped out and cut out that we didn't get to see, especially like seeing more of the school, especially like seeing them go outside and go to that pool area. We did not get to see that, sadly. That was one thing that I feel like would have been really cool to see. Another thing is I think it's chapter 3 when you're with Yuka and Kizumi, and that's when there's like these weird type of like skull green, it's like green weird looking things that are on the ground. You have to get these special shoes that you can walk over it. I wish we would have been able to see those and just like go more in detail about that, because like those are like some weird things. And on the top of the Kizumi, they did him dirty in this OVA, mainly because his setup of him being a villain is so much better in the game, mainly because it's when Yuka gets split up from Saitoshi, and that's when she's running looking for her brother and she bumps into Kizumi. And just to set up the whole time, like we're with him for like a decent amount of time doing different things, like pushing desks and like pushing, I guess you say, cabinets up that they can go in certain places or whatever, and getting key items. And then finally we get a key item that unlocks this one bathroom, and Yuka goes to the bathroom. That's when like one of his friends shows up from his school, and we just see them talking for a little bit and then having some questionable dialogue about like one of the girls getting cheated on like by her boyfriend 3 times or something like that, or with 3 different women or something. There's some questionable dialogue, I'll say that. But then that's when you see Kizumi stab the guy and then pushes him down a hole, and then that leads into like the end of the chapters and stuff happens. But we get to like I think it's the last chapter or chapter 4, I don't remember which chapter it is, but yeah, and that's when we have Yuka running away from him. We really did not get that like that in here, because it just like the scene just like happens like that and like it's quick and done. But just know in the game it's a very intenseful scene, mainly because you're running with Yuka trying to figure out where you need to go, and like if you get caught by him, that can lead to a bad end. And trust me, they showed the bad end in the OVA of like Yuka, you know, getting offed by him. So that's just one of the things that kind of suck, because like he's kind of like, in my opinion, the main only villain that we have, or the main antagonist besides Sachiko and all of them. But I mean, just when it comes to like the people that are alive, so that was just one thing that I just kind of sucked, because his part in the story is intense, and especially that switch up from him being, you're just thinking like, oh, maybe he's a cool person, to no, he's very crazy. And on that note, we also did not see anything from other people, because there's other students that are in this school at this time, and we did not get to see that, and that kind of sucks. And then like also there's a assistant that's connected to like the main sensei to the Naiho girl. Like there's a guy assistant that's like, he's the one recording all that. We did not even get to see him, and he's actually in this place too. So there's a lot of characters that we didn't get to see, and a lot of other interactions. Like there's one where like a girl's in the art room and she's talking to herself saying crazy stuff. Seeing all them other random characters would have been nice to be in here, but sadly we did not get to see that. So that kind of sucks that we didn't get to see them, because I just felt like that would have been something they could have added to do something interesting to it, especially because like, I mean, I think at that time the extra chapters might have not been made, so that might have been a reason why. But at the same time, we still had some of the other characters that we see throughout the whole game. It just sucks that we didn't get to see them. I just feel like they would have added something interesting to the story though. But I mean, that's about it for like the bad stuff for me. I mean, yes, it was like fast paced, of course. The characters' deaths just happen fast. They changed some characters up that are somewhat interesting, and they just kind of just speed run through deaths if you actually look at it. And also, I will say this, the last thing I gotta say is, just like the games, they had to include panty shots, because if you know the game, they do that too. But in this one, they do it with the deaths, and it's like, why? Because like the games, they do panty shots, and it's like, why? And I mean, we didn't get the questionable dialogue, because trust me, the game has a lot of questionable, out-of-pocket dialogue at times, and just makes you go like, why? But yeah, I mean, it's not that bad of OVA. I mean, if this is your first time watching Corpse Party, I mean, you'll enjoy it for the most part if you go into it not thinking it's going to be something great, because trust me, it's not nothing great, because they had to cram all this stuff in here. I mean, one of the things I will say, that some of the other things I just want to say is, one thing they did do really well is when it comes to the bodies being scattered all over the school. I think they did that really well, because in the game, there's like bodies and bones all scattered throughout the school with people's bodies, and I think it was just interesting seeing it this way. And you had like a whole staircase just full of bodies, which was kind of nuts. And I mean, because that is like essentially what would be there if we got like a real anime adaptation like type of thing. You would see all these just random bodies there, and that's kind of what I liked about, because it just shows that like, yeah, there are kids in this school, but like they've all been, you know, whacked and like went crazy, killed each other and all that. And I mean, we see all different type of phases, like some that are like fresh bodies, and some that are like been there for years because they're already decomposing. They're basically bones. One of the things I will say that was kind of interesting is like the way they dealt with Naimu's trauma, because you know the trauma she has from like Seiko, but then she even gets more trauma from Saitoshi's death with the anime original like ending. And because you know in the game she has like crazy trauma where like at some point she's talking to herself, and that's when Saitoshi has to save her from the stall because she was about to do what she did to Psycho to herself. She just knows she was about to unalive herself, but Saitoshi saves her. And that was just one of the things I just thought it was interesting with the trauma and all that. But yeah, if you've seen the Corpse Party OVA, let me know how you feel about it, because I'm curious how other people would feel about this OVA, especially if you played the game, because you play the game, you know this like OVA is not that good and it's very disappointing. But if you haven't played it, then you might enjoy it. But I mean, when I first watched the OVA, because I watched the OVA first, I could tell there was a lot of things wrong, because there was a lot of pacing issues, because I remember going from like one of the episodes to the next and I was like, what is happening? I was like, how did we get here? I was like, I feel like something's missing, and there's a lot of pieces that are missing because they couldn't cover this whole story though. But yeah, if y'all ever want me to go into the story, just know I am going to make a full video about the Corpse Party game, because I'm planning on doing it in the future, especially on one of my gaming channels, because I plan on making a gaming channel and like going over that, because just know that game has so many things wrong with it and so many things good with it. It's just the dialogue, and there's a lot of weirdness, but it's still a really good game. But there's so many things I gotta say about that game. But yeah, if you want to hear me say that, just know in the future sometime I am gonna make a full video on that, because I gotta go in detail about that stuff though. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video and I like, if you didn't, you can dislike, subscribe if you really enjoyed. But yeah, Corpse Party is a really phenomenal game, but the OVA is kind of meh. Like, it's an okay fun watch if you just want to watch it and just joke and just laugh at some of the different shots and the certain angles they do and all these other type of things, because that's the only way you can really watch this, because it's, trust me, it's a ridiculous adaptation, because they're cramming like a 10-hour, 8-hour-ish game into 2 hours, and it's like, nah, and they cut so much important stuff though. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you next video. Bye.